Well, hello there. Welcome to today's episode. See, this episode is being recorded towards the end of the current year, and we know that that final quarter of the year, you know, specifically for businesses, it is that quarter, is that season of the year where you're trying to finish strong and you're trying to complete all of the projects and, just have a great success in closing the year. But not only that, in business and actually in ministry or in any aspect of life, even in your personal life, you begin to prepare for the new year. So we are a very uh, important part or season of the year at this time. And I just wanted to use this opportunity to help you plan for the new year. So today's episode is actually an introduction to one of the services that I provide, and that is Christian life coaching for success. So I believe that we all want to be successful, whether it is a business that you own, or a company that you run, or a ministry, or your family life, personal life. You want to be successful in everything that you do. But sometimes, we lack the resources or we lack the support that is needed. Sometimes we don't have a clear vision as to what we want to accomplish. So in today's episode, I will be covering some of those things. So once again, welcome to today's episode. This is Coach Felipe Arteaga. And like always, you can find more information about my ministry and the services that I offer by visiting my website, which is my actual name, felipearteaga.com. So I would like to give you just a brief peek into my background. See, I have a background in business management and in ministry, and both careers, started almost simultaneously around the years 95, 96, 97, or so. I started first with my secular job. As a young man, I started with this company and I started from the ground up. I started with an entry level position, and throughout the years, I managed my way to the top. And in ministry, I also started around those years in the mid 90s. And, I had a blast. I also started, with an entry level position actually as a volunteer at that church. And that's where I eventually found my calling, and I went to Bible school and, started working my way, just from simply being a church member or a volunteer to actually becoming the assistant pastor of that church. So I was doing both, my secular job and ministry. So I was technically a bivocational minister. But if we jump, a couple of decades later, something happened in the year 2020, 2021, and we all know and remember the COVID-19 pandemic. At that time, a lot of things changed, as a nation, as businesses, churches, families, everything was technically disrupted. And many people suffered, many people got ill, many people died. So I would like to express my most sincere condolences. And my heart truly goes out to any person that lost a relative or a loved one. You know, like I said, we all suffered through the pandemic, but we all suffered in different ways. In my case, yes, I did catch the virus, but that was not the issue. For me, that season came to reveal something that was lacking in my life. I had lost track of the vision. I was going through a season of readjustment, realignment. I experienced a level of depression and frustration, if you will. And all of this came, within months. The pandemic, my ministry did not survive the pandemic. I do not want to blame it entirely on the pandemic itself, but that was part of the reason. And also the company that I had served and managed for over 2 decades, ended up being sold to another company. And though I did transition from company A to company B, my heart was no longer into that career. I did not have the other half of my life, which was ministry. As I explained, I was doing both ministry and secular job. And I lost, inspiration. I lost momentum. I lost sight of the finish line. So I find myself without that company that I managed, without that ministry where I was serving, and I find myself really lacking meaning and relevance and value to my life. So I had to go through that season, to actually touch ground and simply, be able to relate. I think I had gone, or my life and my ministry had advanced to that point where I was not really in touch. I was not really connecting anymore. And by coming down to earth, figuratively speaking, uh, something happened there. God was working in my life and in my ministry, in my calling. And out of that season, I had to really come down to square one and start all over again. And through that season, I went through a season of transformation, a season of renewal. And I have come up, out of that season victorious, but with a great commitment at the same time. I can only imagine how many people, struggle, not only with the consequences of the pandemic, but also, just life itself. So this horrible experience, gave me uh, a lot of opportunity and gave me the power and the ability to relate to other people to the point where now I am determined, to help and to assist as many people as possible with the ministry and the business that I now run. So I have become a life coach, but not just a life coach, but a Christian life coach. And my mission is all about transformation. It's just helping people, helping individuals like you in many areas of life with a Christian or biblical perspective. So after that, I would like to get us started with this verse that we find in Jeremiah 29:11. For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, and plans to give you hope and a future. What a wonderful verse. That's one of my favorite verses in the entire Bible. Just to know that God is thinking about me, that God is thinking about you. Just like I went through a difficult season in my life and I made it through, and not only I made it, but I made it victoriously and with a renewed sense of purpose, with new life, with new energy, with a vision that is far greater than what I used to have back in the day. And that is all because God has a plan for my life. And I am submitting and humbling and rendering my plans before the Lord. So God has a plan. But, we also have to have a plan that aligns with his plan. In other words, you have a calling. In other words, you have something special, an, an assignment that God has given, that God has bestowed upon your life. But it is our job, to figure out and to find out and to partner with God and find out exactly why are we in this world? Why are we going through the things that we are going through? Though it took me a while, God was leading me in a different direction. And for a season, I think I was resisting and I was comfortable, but there is nothing like God's plan and God's will for our lives. So this is part of what I do now, helping people, with the plans and with the purpose and the callings in their lives. So if this year is ending and a new year is beginning, what would you like to accomplish in the next 12 months? Have you slowed down enough to ask yourself, what is it that I want to accomplish? What is it that God is asking of me for the new year? What is it down the road that I am meant to do? Who is it that I am meant to be or become, as this new year begins? That's a very important question to ask. And not only it's about the question, but about the timing of that question. There's nothing like preparing. There's nothing like planning ahead and being ready for the new year. And you may say, why wait till the new year? And I would say you don't have to wait till the new year begins. You can start your transformation today. You can start the journey today. But I do encourage and I do suggest that you prepare mentally, emotionally, physically, but most of all, that you prepare yourself spiritually for the new year. What would you like to accomplish if money was not an issue? Many times we say, well, if I had the money, I would go to school. If I had the resources, and we limit the size of God's vision and purpose for our lives to the size of the budget that we have. We're limited to any of the self imposed limitations that we have practically imposed upon our own selves. So it doesn't have to be like that. Part of my services as a life coach is to help the person have and aim for bigger and greater dreams. Don't worry about how much is it going to cost or how long is it going to take. Is it really a God-given dream that you have? He will provide. He will make a way. So one of the mistakes that we make and that I have made is, well, I can only do X because this is all I have or this is all I can accomplish. But I have found out that as I trust the Lord, you know, with his plans, we just read it, Jeremiah 29:11, for he has the plans. The master has the master plans. What if success was guaranteed? How often we figure, well, or we ask ourselves, what if I fail? What if I don't make it? What if I just embarrass myself? And what if, and we go into this negative mindset instead of saying, what if I succeed? What if this ministry becomes a great ministry? What if this business actually takes off? What if my marriage or my family is actually impacted and transformed and renewed? Because that is God's plan for my life. So I encourage you today, make sure that your plans, that your dreams, that anything that you aspire to do and to become, that you align all of that, that you surrender all of that before God Himself and ask Him, Lord, here, just tell Him, here are my dreams, here are my hopes. You can do with them as you please. You can approve them and give them back, or you can enhance them. And we can together accomplish, a lot of great things. So what a blessing, to have a God that has plans for his people. One of the quotes or one of the sayings that I have, personally is aim high, hit high. And that's something that I have utilized in my own life. Many times, like I said earlier, we limit the size of the vision or the size of the dreams. And yes, we have some level of success and we do have some level of effectiveness. But if you're hitting or aiming high, you will actually hit high. But if you're aiming low, you will 100% hit low. So, what is the size of your dream? How big is the scope of your vision? How great are the plans that you are entertaining in your heart and in your spirit? One of the things that I work with my clients is the topic or the subject of mindset shift. Many times we have a small mind, a mind that lacks instead of having a mentality or a mindset of abundance, of greatness, of positivity, of possibilities. Many times we just settle for the small, for the attainable, for the reachable, for the things that you see, but in life, a lot of times it's about the things that you don't see. It's about the things that you cannot reach, the things that you cannot accomplish, and that is on your own. But when there's a team surrounding you, when God is leading the way, my brother and my sister, I can tell you that the possibilities are actually endless. And I get excited, when I get into this part of the training, because I know that we have that tendency as humans, to have limitations because we do have limitations. Don't get me wrong, but nothing is impossible for God. So don't be afraid to dream big. See, the Bible says in Ephesians 3 that for God can do exceedingly abundantly above all that we ask or think. What a great verse, what a great promise, and what a great truth to know that God can do exceedingly and abundantly above all that we ask or think. So we think we have a plan, or we think that we have a vision, and we ask God, to bless and to prosper. And we're thinking, that God can do X when God can do far more than what you and I can even think, imagine, or even ask for. So I challenge you for this new year. It has to be a better year. Don't forget that all of past, your past experiences, both the successes and the failures of the past year, they are compounding and they are making you stronger and they are making you wiser and they are giving you momentum for the new year. Yes, we have successes. Yes, we have failures, but from all of that, there's always a life lesson. There's always something that is redeemable, something that we can utilize for inspiration and for motivation, to continue doing what God is expecting of us. So, what is it that God is asking of you? Is He asking you to start a new ministry? Is He asking you to start a new business? Is He asking you to work on your personal growth and development? Is He asking you to work in improving your family relations, your marriage, your relationship with your children, with your friends, to reach out to the community? What is it that God is asking of you? Take a moment, take some time, and really ask the Lord, what is it that you want me to do now that this new year is upon us? One thing that if there is one word that can describe my life experience, if there is one word that can describe the services that I provide as a life coach, it's the word transformation. Transformation. That is such a powerful word, where you can turn something. I love those kind of shows where they take a dilapidated little house and they turn that into technically a mansion, something that someone is willing to pay, hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars versus that original house, that very same house, very same location that people perhaps would not even get it for free, because there's a transformation. There are some changes, there are some improvements, and in some instances, some things have to be torn down, some things have to be discarded, and at the end, you see a wonderful, wonderful transformation. So I know that that is what's happening in my life, and I know that that is exactly what can happen in your life as well. You can go through this transformation. You can go through these transforming life experiences, through these transforming, sessions, transformational content that I provide to assist, my clients in that journey, in that pursuit of their dreams and their visions. So transformation is key for the new year. So I really hope that you can get inspiration out of this particular term or word, transformation. So in closing, speaking of transformation, these are some of the, not everything, but some of the things that I work with my clients. And I have mentioned before, a lot of my content is out there for free. But this is just a sneak peek into the things that I work with, the things that I offer my clients, and I'm assisting them with things like personal growth, personal development, mindset shift, life and calling, life purpose discovery, and also goal setting and planning, time management, ministry development, and accountability and prayer support. So if any of these things, speak to you, and if you want someone to partner with you, and you would like to hire a Christian life coach, I make my services available to you. I offer a free discovery call where we can get together and spend a good 30 minutes or so, going over your case, your situation, and see if we are a match for each other. And like I said, even if you don't end up working with me, in a paid capacity, you can always benefit from the free content that I provide, mostly on YouTube, but also in other social media platforms as well. So, my friend, I hope that this episode has blessed you, and I hope that you are actually, hitting these words and listening and putting into practice. Remember, it's not only about being listeners, but it's also about being doers, especially when it comes to God's message. So I encourage you, and I will continue to pray for you for your success, for your growth, and for your development. So I will catch you again, my brother, in the next episode. Until then, you be blessed, my brother, be blessed.